Before you say something, I'd like to open up by saying thank you to my brother-in-law who's standing back there. He lifted the curse. Every game he's been at over the last 3 years, we've gotten crushed and lost. 6 years, I'm sorry. Back to the old job. So the curse is lifted, buddy. You're welcome back at the games, all right? I mean, I could answer that, start by answering that, and what I've said a lot of times. You know, we're very specific throughout the week. You know, hats off to my assistant coaches. The amount of data, the amount of information that they put together, not just for me, more importantly for the players. And over the last 3 games, tonight was our most complete 90 minutes since I've been here, not just because of the 6 goals, but getting back to what I'm talking about, to be able to sit there from the start of the game and watch the specific things we talked about and worked on in training all week actually perfectly taking place. I mean, we have a young back line. I mean, they shut down tonight one of the best forwards, you could say, in the last 10, 15 years in the world, you know? And the double team, the moments that they double teamed on Ibrahimovic were the perfect moments. And the moments that they didn't were the right times not to. Albert popping into holes, Kyle and receiving and facing forward, Joao and Jefferson getting themselves in positions, all stuff we've talked about this week. So hats off to my assistant coaches and hats off to these players who are executing it.
Was a big part of what you worked on, because they were pressuring you in a way, probably at the back line, trying to create turnovers. It seemed like once you got through that initial pressure, it seemed like there was just chance after chance after chance. Is that kind of what you were encouraging them to do throughout the week? Well,
we worked a lot on this week on patterns, on dropping Brooksy back for a 3-man line in the build-out, 3 versus 2, having Kyle, Sonny kind of stay away. And then a 3v2, if they do it right, is someone's always going to get out. But then it takes the vision to bypass lines, and not only the player with the ball, but the guys like Albert, Plata, Savarino, Demir, who put themselves in good positions. I mean, little things that I've noticed, I don't know if you guys did, but I mean, we had a ton of overloads. You know, the ball starting on one side and not everybody going into this time. The overloads created on the opposite side so we could get it over there quick and have numbers up. I mean, all stuff that we work on, all stuff that we talked about, and you know, man for man tonight. If I gave game balls out, which I usually don't, I'd give every one of them a game ball because they executed it.
Just you mentioned that overload. Was that kind of what led to the first goal? It seemed like Plata was in the middle of the field with nobody around him, and then he played the ball to Rusnik. Was that kind of a direct result of that?
Well, yeah. I mean, over the last month, maybe, we started changing a little bit and encouraging guys like Joao and Jefferson to recognize when to stay wide versus when to come in and overload. And, you know, nothing against LA, but we identified their 3 central backs that were playing, that guys that we could expose if we get numbers around and with our pace, get behind them. So, yeah, I mean, that was more certainly came from a bit of an overload centrally.
Mike, the move to put Demir up top, that's something that you guys have worked on for a while. Why do you think it's clicking the way it has the last few times you've tried it?
Well, I would honestly say I don't consider Demir was a forward tonight. Him and Albert rotated. You know, I don't want to make
false nine.
Yeah,
is that
but I think it's important to make that clear, is that there's 2 positions tonight that we didn't identify to our players that you're playing this position. That was Demir and Albert. You know, someone always had to occupy the center backs and someone always had to drop in. And I think most of the time Dami was the higher one. But listen, we don't have, I mean, credit to these players. We're in 4th place right now, starting 4 or 5 homegrown players almost every game, and without having a true number 9 this entire season, a true number 9. That's a credit to these guys. And what Dami and Albert bring, why I've been playing them together over the last couple of games, is it came a point that we wanted to get our most experienced and players in the field together, and our players who are perhaps, not to take anything away from everybody else on the team, but players who are the most informed. And then it's on the coaching staff to put them in the right positions. So again, long answer to your short question, but I think Dami and Albert together did a fantastic job of their movement and occupying the center backs and spraying the ball.
You've been around this league for such a long time. What will you remember most about this night? I mean, it seemed like tonight was one of those rare nights that you'll look back on whenever you're done coaching.
Yes,
and you'll
when
be
I'm
able
done
to pinpoint
coaching. Yeah.
when you can pinpoint something like this game. It seems like maybe I'm wrong. I'm just wondering, did it have that kind of vibe tonight for you?
Well,
maybe not at the start.
No, this is going to be forgotten, honestly. Maybe tomorrow morning. And maybe I'll spend the rest of the night thinking about it because it was special. But now it's all thinking about Minnesota. But if I had to pinpoint something that I'm going to look back on, years from now of tonight, is I think I already mentioned it, the attention to detail from my players. Seeing them, and they've done it all year, but in spurts. And tonight, and even against Houston and Colorado a lot, but tonight was just 90 minutes of them literally executing exactly what we spoke about. So to me as a coach, there's many joys that I get on a weekly basis, but I think the biggest satisfaction for coaches is knowing that what you guys are working on is being seen.
Albert had obviously 2 great goals, but the one where it was saved and he went right back up and won it back and then set the goal up to Damir. Does that kind of just show maybe the hunger level he has and this team has? Because I think you were up by 2 at that point. It wasn't like a game-winning goal, but you still wanted to fight for that goal. Is that kind of what you're seeing from them? Yeah,
and Albert's the one that has said over the last couple of weeks when we have our meetings, he's spoken up and he said, guys, let's be unselfish at times. Put the right people in the positions to score a goal, and it's something that we talk about a lot. And right there, a lot of players would have tried to gone back and scored, but he had his attempt. He did great to aggressively win the ball back and then put Damir in a good position to score. So, Albert is, he's one of the better players, best players in the league, I think, especially at his position, and he showed his experience right there.
What does this mean going forward, aside from the standings and erasing goal differential? Kind of what does this mean going forward, having this run of form?
Nothing if we don't continue it. Nothing at all. And that's why I'm dead serious. And you could ask my wife this. We hardly ever talk about the next day or the day after about the previous game around the house. My answer is if we don't continue this, it means absolutely nothing. But the guys now see, just like last year on the run that we had, they see what they're capable of. I think this is a huge night for my young back four. They actually were, every one of them were men tonight, 100% men, and that's what we need, especially playing against teams like this. So it means 3 points. It means, like you said, besides that, but that's what it means. 3 points. We're in 4th place, and we erased the goal differential.
Yeah, Mike, the team seemed like they played with an intensity that they'd been building on. Every time they got the ball, it was go forward. It was heads down. There was very few negative passes. There was an intensity has that been building up, or was that something you talked about because of possibly the rivalry in the previous games?
Yeah, again, we talk a lot about mentality throughout the year, and I think it's starting to click with these guys. But we talked before the Colorado game, really, about the energy level, about setting a tone. And even if we're behind it a bit, from the beginning, that energy when we get the ball and that energy to close things down. And these guys were hungry. I think, again, my hat's off to the crowd, the supporters who came out tonight and making the environment unbelievable. Even after going down so early in the game, but they fed off of that. And I said it earlier, I consider these guys, they enjoy a bit of pressure, just like we saw last year when we were so close to the playoffs in those last 8 to 10 games, just things lifted. And you see it again this year. We don't want to drop out of the position we're in. We want to stay in the thick of things, and they realize what that takes is the energy and the passion and the commitment, and then obviously the quality. We have a saying we talk about a lot, is that in this league especially, you have to at least match the intensity of the team you're playing, at least. And then the better quality will come out. And that's the truth, and I think tonight is proof of it.
First team in league history to score 6 goals in back-to-back games.
Does that mean?
Does that impress you?
No. Does it get us in the playoffs?
Well, I'm just asking.
It impresses me for the players. It really does. And one thing I wanted to say earlier, when you asked me about Damir, what impresses me more is that someone like Demir scores a hat trick tonight, and then when he's asked to come into a press conference, who'd he send? Justin and Nick. I mean, that doesn't help you, but it helps me. It helps me, and it helps the locker room, and that's the type of player I want playing for me. You know, that is nothing to do with him, and he's proven that since the first moment he's been here. We've done our research before we bought him. He's always, everything came back that this is the ultimate team player and leader, and I mean, he's getting what he deserves right now.